Hello everyone, welcome to another video. In today's video, I want to talk about YAML basics for DevOps engineers. So some of you might already know that YAML is one of the most important languages in the world of DevOps when it comes to writing configuration files. I mean to say, it is used by a lot of different tools in DevOps like Docker Compose, Kubernetes, Ansible, and some other tools as well. So they all use YAML to have their configurations written. Okay, so YAML stands for yet another markup language, or sometimes it is called YAML ain't markup language. So there are two versions of it. Okay, but anyways, let's just understand what YAML actually is. So YAML is actually a way or a format in which you can capture your data. It can be any data actually. Okay, so just to explain this concept, I have taken an example so that you can just understand these things in the layman terms. So for example, you woke up in the morning and you want to make a list of to-do items for you that you're going to complete throughout the day. So how you're going to capture that in YAML format? So this is how you can write it. So your main property within your data that you want to capture is going to be to do, because it's going to be a to-do list. Now here, what items or what task do you want to complete as part of your to-do list? It can be buy groceries, walk the dog, or to finish a DevOps tutorial. So this is how you can represent this data in a YAML format. Okay, so you have this main property. Within this property, you have these three different items which represent this particular main item in your file. Okay, so it's a way of organizing your data in a structured, readable format. So as you can see, it's pretty easy for any human to read this, that it's a to-do list and there are three items in the to-do list. Okay, so this is how you read the data, right? So it is actually a very readable format. So we have other type of formats as well that we might want to use or we have been using in the past, like we have the concept of using uh, these curly braces like a JSON. So if you've ever worked with IAM, AWS IAM, where you write the IAM policies in JSON format, so it is not very readable. Okay, so similarly for any XML file that you might have seen in the past, it's also very not very readable in terms of what a human actually wants to read. Okay, so YAML is a way by which you can have an easy to learn, easy to write, easy to read language for your configuration files. Okay, so that's what it is. So why do DevOps engineers use YAML? Because it is easy to read, it is lightweight, simple, and it is human friendly as compared to JSON or XML. Now, to give you a very basic example or the most common example of a YAML file where you are going to use it in the world of DevOps, it can be in Kubernetes. In Kubernetes, the minimum unit of deployment or the minimum resource that you can deploy is called a pod. Okay, so within the pod, if you have to write your a manifest file for a pod, it's written in the YAML format, ideally. Okay, so if you have to write that this pod YAML manifest file, okay, so how you're going to write it? This is the way to write it. Okay, I'm going to show an example also inside the Kubernetes cluster how we can use this file to create a pod, and what all we have to take care of. Okay, I'm going to show that in at the last of the video. First, I want to cover all the concepts of YAML so that you can use that to write this type of file and you can understand this file. Okay, but here I just wanted to mention that this is like one of the most common use cases of YAML in the world of DevOps, to write a pod YAML manifest file. All right, so now let's understand some of the basics around YAML language. So in YAML, indentation matters. Indentation means the blank spaces that you use within your YAML file. Okay, so it uses spaces and not tabs, and wrong indentation can actually break your config. And I'm going to show you a live demo of this thing, how wrong indentation can actually break your configuration. Okay, we're going to see a live demo of it. So once again, for example, in Kubernetes, we define our resources using YAML, and this is the pod configuration file, which we saw in the previous slide. Okay, so just remember that indentation or blank spaces matters in a YAML file. Okay, how? I'm going to show you. So, so there are three types of, or you can say there are three ways by which you can actually capture your data in a YAML file. Okay, the first one is called key value pairs. So this is used to keep data in a key value format. I think some of you might already know how key value data is kept. So in this example, if you see what I want to do, I want to capture the data related to my tutorials. So I can create a file called I can create a file called mytutorialsdata.yaml. Okay, so if I've created this file and I want to store the data, so this is how I can use the key value uh, formatting in YAML to store my data. So I mean, what this file is representing here is my tutorials data is kept on a platform which is YouTube. The name of the YouTube channel is techapricate, and the domain in which I create these tutorials is DevOps. So you see here, I'm trying to capture the data related to my tutorials data, and I'm specifying the different properties of my data. Okay, so properties in the sense that these tutorials are kept on a platform called YouTube. The name of the channel is techapricate, and the domain in which I create these tutorials is called DevOps. Right, so here I'm using key and value. So this is the way you write or you specify key value format in YAML. So just remember, after this key and colon, you have a space in between. So there's a space in between. Okay, remember this. So once again, this is called indentation. So indentation is nothing but blank spaces that you use within your file. So this is pretty important, else it's going to throw an error. So this is how you write key value pairs. Okay, so this is one way of writing your data. Now another way of writing the data in a YAML file is called a dictionary. So dictionary is, this is used to keep data in a key value format, as we've already seen, but for a specific item and for different properties of each element. And here order of the items does not matter. Okay, I'll come to this. So let's just see an example of a dictionary in a YAML file. So once again, I'm using the same example like my tutorials data.yml, but here what I'm representing is I'm adding another item in my file. It's called videos. So here what I'm doing is I'm specifying in what format my tutorials are available, because it can be in the form of blogs or articles. Okay, or it can be in the form of videos. So here what I'm saying is my tutorials data is in the form of videos. But I mean, where my videos are, or what are the properties of my videos? My videos are kept on a platform called YouTube. Name is techapricate, name of the channel, name of the YouTube channel rather, and the domain in which I create my videos is DevOps. So the difference between this key value format and dictionary is this videos item here. So here what I'm saying is I'm specifying a particular item, and whatever properties of this data I want to represent, it's all representing the details of this particular item here. Okay, so my videos are actually in the form of, my tutorials are in the form of videos, and my videos have these properties. Okay, so once again, if you see in videos, I am using this indentation here. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll use my Visual Studio Code to show you these indentation, because it is not very clear in this PPT. So let me go here and let me create a file, new file, and let me just name this file as my tutorials data.yml. Yep. It's created, and I'll just copy this data. So here, if you see, I just created this file, mytutorialsdata.yml, and here, this is representing this indentation. Okay, if I just move this name a little bit, you can see the indentation has changed. This line here is representing the level in which these two elements are kept in the file. So platform and domain are on the same level in terms of indentation, but name is not on the same level now. So between name and platform or domain, there's a gap of one blank space. So we have indentation available here. So which means that these two are on a different level now. Okay. So if you just add these properties like this, which means that this name techapricate is a property of the platform, but that is not what we want, right? Because it is on the same level, because we are trying to represent my tutorials data here, and these three properties or elements are on the same level because they all represent my tutorials data here. Okay, so this is how this indentation actually matters. This is one example, and this is called key value formats. Okay, so here I'm just representing my data in the key value format. Now next is, if I have to use dictionary. For dictionary, what I'll do, I'll just add another property, like I'll do videos and then colon. And now once again, if I have to, so if I have to specify that these three are properties of my videos, so what I have to do is I have to use indentation here. Okay, so how I have to do it, at least one space should be there like this, then similarly for this, and then similarly for this. So now if you see this, these three keys, or you can say these three elements: platform YouTube, name tech applicate, domain DevOps. These are the three elements that are representing my videos, because these are under videos now. Okay, so you can just use this option also to expand and to expand the values like this, or you can just keep it like this also. So which means that these three are actually properties of my videos. Okay, so this happened just because of this indentation that I just kept. So this is the difference between dictionary and key value formatting. Okay, so it is actually kind of same, but it is just that you just add another item, and you just represent all the other properties of that item like this in a YAML file. Okay, this is done. Now if I talk about another concept in YAML, it's called lists or arrays. So lists and arrays is used to create a list of items, which are also called arrays. And here order also matters. So for example, once again, I have another example here. So let me just create this file in my Visual Studio Code. Okay, and I'll just copy this and I'll paste it here. So here, what I'm explaining is the concept of lists or arrays in the YAML file. So list is represented by dashes. Okay, so once again, it depends what type of data do you want to store. Here, what I'm trying to represent is, I'm trying to represent different tools which are all DevOps tools. So here, how I can represent, I'm using this DevOps tool as my main property here, and within the property I have different tools available. Okay, but I don't want to use the key value pair because it is not my requirement. My requirement is to just represent the list of items or the list of tools that are part of this DevOps tools. So I can use the lists here, which is represented by dashes. Okay, so this is how you use the list or array. Okay. Then last property in a YAML file is nested structures in YAML. So here what I am trying to explain here is how to use the dictionary, the key value pairs, and the lists in a single YAML file. Okay, in what scenario you will use it. So just to take that example, I'm using this Bhavuk CV.yml. So for example, I want to create my CV in YAML format. So how I can do it? Okay, so let me just create another file in my Visual Studio Code. So I'll do Bhavuk cv.yml, done, and I'll just copy this entire thing from here and paste it here. So this is how I can represent my CV in YAML format also. Okay, so this is the name of the file, Bhavuk CV, and what I'm trying to do is I'm going to represent the data as we do in a normal CV. So the name of the person is Bhavuk. The role is DevOps engineer, and what all skills does he have? So once again, I have different type of skills, right? I have different skills. So under skills, I will be using a list because I have different type of skills. So I'm using Kubernetes, CI/CD, and I also have skills. I also have monitoring skills. But here I'm using a key value pair because I want to represent these properties, right, in a key value format. Like name is Bhavuk, role is DevOps engineer. So here I'm using this key value pair. So here I'm using the dictionary. So this is called a dictionary here. Okay, and here I'm going to use a list. So this is how you have to create a YAML file depending on your use case. You can use the list and you can use the dictionary also. Okay, and just remember that list, the order in which you specify the different items, it matters. Okay, it can change the behavior of the YAML file, but in case of dictionary it doesn't matter. Okay, so in list the order matters, but in dictionary order does not matter. Okay, it can be like, I mean, I can specify a role, this DevOps engineer, and name Bhavu. It is not going to make any impact, but in the real this I mean in the real configuration file when you create, if you change the this order of your this list items, then it's going to make a difference. Okay, remember this. Okay, so I hope you understand these three concepts, the concept of key value pairs, the concept of dictionary, and the concept of lists. Okay, so let's just see a real time example. So as I mentioned, I'm going to take the example of a pod YAML manifest file. So in Kubernetes, all the configuration files are written in YAML format. Okay, and here I'm taking the example of the minimum unit of deployment that is possible in the world of Kubernetes, that is a pod. Okay, so this is the file. So once again, let me just copy and paste. Okay, I already have this created here actually. So once again, I'm using key value pairs. Okay, I'm using a small dictionary also, and I'm using a list also. Okay, so this is how you represent a pod YAML manifest file. So if you go to the official documentation of Kubernetes to find the YAML manifest file, you will find these are the four elements that are mandatory: API version, kind, metadata, and spec. So these four properties are mandatory to create a pod YAML manifest file. Okay, so once again, it depends on the use case. Here I want to represent these values in key value pair because I want to specify what API version I'm using. So it is going to be v1, so I'm going to use this key value pair. Once again, similarly, I'm going to use the key value pair for kind also because I want to represent the kind property. The value of this kind property is pod. So under metadata, I have one property called name, and the value of this name key is webpod. Okay, now let's just try to copy and paste this file or this text inside a Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so we're going to see how this indentation and the concepts that we just learned about YAML actually matters in a YAML file, and if we don't follow it, how it's going to break our configuration. Okay, so let's copy this, and here I'm using a Kubernetes cluster which is available to me online on this Clear Coda platform. So if you want to quickly access a Kubernetes cluster without you having to set up anything on your local machine or on a VM, you can use this Clear Coda platform. Okay, I'm going to put the URL of this platform in the description of this video. So here you can get the access to a cluster for 1 hour. After 1 hour, all the data will be lost and your session will be closed. And you need to refresh this browser window to create another session with new data in it. Okay, so but this is like a very quick way of accessing the cluster. And if you want to do some testing, if you want to do some quick deployments for any POC, so this is like a very good platform for that. Okay, so let's see the status of this cluster first. So let's do kubectl get nodes. So you can see I have two nodes here, one control plane node and one worker node. So let's just try to create this pod.yml file. So pod.yml and paste the content. Okay, so let's just try to use an incorrect indentation and see how it actually breaks our configuration, and then we will fix it and see if it fixes the issue. So here I just spoke about that these are the four properties: API version, kind, metadata, and spec, which are the important properties to define a pod YAML manifest file. So now if I do any mistakes in the indentation part, for example, this name web pod is a property of metadata item. So if I choose incorrect indentation here like this, and if I try to apply this configuration, apply this file, or create this pod.yml inside the cluster using kubectl apply command, so you will see the error like this. Okay, so I mean it's going to throw one error or the other if you don't write this YAML file uh, correctly. So it can be just one blank space or one indentation error that can cause this error. Okay, so it has to be absolutely perfect. Okay, so this is how you can see how it's going to break your configuration. So now let's just fix it, fix the issue. So here I'm going to use the indentation again. I'm going to save it, and now if I apply the configuration, it's going to work for me. Okay, I can check the status. So kubectl get pods, and you can see this web pod is now in running status, and 1 out of 1 is ready. Okay, so this is how you create this YAML manifest file. I hope all the concepts discussed in this uh, PPT are clear to you. If you still have doubts, please reach out to me in the comment section and I'm going to answer all your queries. Okay, so that's all I wanted to cover in this video. Just one more thing before I leave. I want to give you information about another platform called YAML Lint. This one, YAML lint. So yamllint.com is a great way if you want to validate a YAML file. Okay, so if you have any doubts, if you think that your YAML file is not correct or it has some issues, you can just paste your YAML file here, click on go option. It's going to show if it's a valid YAML or if there are any errors. Okay, yamllint.com, remember this. Once again, I'm going to put this in the in the description of this video. So for example, if I just copy and paste the same file from here and paste it here like this, click on go, it's going to show me it's a valid YAML. Okay, if I do any mistake here, for example, let's just do any error like this, and you will see the error. Okay, so you know that there's an error here, and you can see the errors are between line 7 and line 8. So you know how to I mean, you know that where the issue is, and you can just look into it and try to fix it. Okay, so it's a great way to validate a YAML file. Okay, yamllint.com. All right, that's all I wanted to cover in this video. I hope you liked it. It was useful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. Please share this video with your friends and colleagues, and please do subscribe to my channel. All right, guys, that's all I wanted to cover in this video, and I'm going to see you in the next one.